Okay, we are back with another episode of Heroes of HR. We are live in Scottsdale. I almost said Salt Lake, Scottsdale, with iSolve Connect, and I have two very intimidating people in front of me, like way above my head, but we're going to make this work. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so we have Stacey and Tami, but I'll let y'all do the introduction. Stacey, let's introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. I'm Stacey Harris. I'm the Chief Research Officer at Stacey and Insights Group. We are a research and advisory firm focused on HR and operations.
And I am Tami Nutt, the Vice President of Research and Insights at Aspect 43, which is a subsidiary of Jumpstart HR, where we are a research and advisory firm as well. But we look at things, both of us look at things similarly and differently. And
So are we competitors? I didn't even think about that.
colleagues.
Yeah.
Colleagues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not Rock'em Sock'em right now?
No.
I completely didn't even think of that. Was in unison
Yeah.
in my ears. That was great. No.
Oh.
Yeah. So, okay. So, Stacey, you just got off stage
I did.
and you talked about some cool things. What did you talk about?
Well, you sat through
Well, I did sit through it, but
Did you not
I
pay
feel
attention?
like I took notes. I actually
I
took
could be
notes.
the teacher. What? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did take
did
notes.
learn in her session, right?
But if I say it, I'm going to screw it up. And you say it so much better.
We talked about how we elevate the HR role and the HR function, and we were really focusing on first, sort of what do you need to be a strategic HR function. And then we also talked about the individual role of the HR leader and what they need to do in their role and how they elevate that role. So and to be honest, iSolved sponsored a research report around this, which is based off of our big annual report. They wanted us to take a look at like what was different about those strategic HR functions from small organizations all the way up to big organizations. And also they wanted us to look at sort of something that we haven't been asked to look at previously, which is the demographics of those roles. Like how long have they been in their positions, male, female, age. We also looked at sort of the different types of ownership models, those kind of things. And so it was fun. It's a good research report, and we're able to deliver some good findings on it.
Yeah. And so I got to look at what I wrote because there was something that I wrote and I wanted to bring it up. I posted it.
You said the candy bar thing for
The candy bar thing. Yes, that's what it was. Thank you. When you said some of you younger, you'll know Michaels.
Yeah.
I laughed. That was pretty funny. Well, I couldn't guess when you said Joanne Fabrics. I'm like, what did they make money on? And you're probably right. I'm assuming you're right, but I'm just trusting that you're right. You've done this research.
Yeah.
But a lot of the grocery stores and all these like Best Buy and these others, they sell at Home Depot.
Yep.
The same thing. We've talked about this before, where they make more margin on the candy bars and the waters than they do the wood and the tools and all of that stuff.
And it's very real. I mean, I worked in retail for almost 10 years and at Joann stores, and it was an aha moment for me as an HR professional. And Tami, you and I have talked about this. Like HR comes in and we have processes and we have professional things we know and we have all these things and you know your industry and you're like, okay, and we hear the big annual numbers, those kind of things. But when you really get down to it, how a company makes money is very different from the view of the world looking at you, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for Joann stores, it was fabric was what they were known for. They only made maybe a cent or two on a margin, like off of fabric, because it was such a hard thing to. That's why no one else did fabric. Even Walmart got out of it, was because it was so expensive to do. And same thing with craft products, right? Craft products were a dime a dozen. They were right, like you were getting them from all over the world. But water, candy bars, the tchotchkes that they have at the front of the desk. And I never forget talking to that category management director, because that's category management is the person who kind of owns the products in retail, and they each have little categories they own. And I remember her looking at me and going, her face basically said, "Are you stupid?" Right?
Are you stupid? God damn.
Because I was like, so how important is your product to what we do in our organization? She goes, no, we support everything.
Yeah.
And it was one of those conversations where I was like, oh, this is what I need to be doing better, right?
Right. Is McDonald's selling burgers or are they real estate? Right. The same argument. Yeah. Now, I didn't get to sit in Tami's session, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I didn't get to sit in it because I was out here.
I understand it was all AI, right?
It was AI and HR compliance.
Yeah. Do tell.
Yeah. And it was a packed house, which was exciting. So it's definitely a topic that is gathering some attention these days. But really what we did was we talked about how we really kind of gave 6 steps of like, how do you, from an HR perspective, approach AI and still keep the business in compliance and understand how to do this on a really practical basis. Like, where do you start from if you're the HR person and you know AI is coming? There's CEOs and boards and investors that want AI in there.
Right.
What do I do with this when I go back on Monday morning? And so we really kind of talked about, how you do that and how you do that while still keeping the humans that you know and are responsible for and are going to continue to need to be responsible for. And how do you do that well and keep all of that still within the compliance requirements that are coming out through different organizations?
Yeah, this might be a question for both of you. We'll see. One of the, I think, themes that we've seen over probably the last year or so is questions to ask. So when I'm buying or when I'm thinking I need to buy or evaluating, what questions do I ask? Because they're different questions than just getting like a recruiting tool or something like that, right? They're very different now. So we'll start with Tami. What are you seeing?
Yeah, some of the questions that we tell them to ask and that we've heard are really helpful to have is, number one, what is the software vendor? What is their ethical AI statement? How are they approaching things? What is their approach to putting AI in the product? What are they thinking through when they do that? Or are they just doing it wherever they can? Or is there some guidelines that they are putting in place to ensure that they're keeping privacy and data and compliance in mind? And one of the other things we tell them is, ask them what are these models being trained on, and how are you checking the biases on all of this? Like, if we just go and put in all of this data and all this data is biased and we don't know that it is because we've never really looked at it from that perspective before, which, let's be honest, probably the case. I mean, so how are we checking that? How are we cleaning that up? One of the things we talked about was one of the reasons that people find it hard to teach other coworkers about AI is because it's so different for every user, especially if you have something that is generative. And I was like, yeah, that's the blessing and the curse of generative AI. It becomes very personalized. So any AI I work with, if it's looking at kind of how I'm talking about things or whatever, it's going to start putting in y'all into everything because that's part of my language.
Personalization.
But that's not going to work for for Joey, who's from Maryland. That's not part of his how he talks. And so it's the curse of it, though, is that it's going to do the same thing with your data and with your practices. And so if you have bad data and bad practices, it's just going to make that happen more.
It learns the bad data, bad practices. So Stacy, maybe this is probably a good question for you then. So yesterday we had a conversation, not you and I, but me and someone else. But I'm going to tell you what it's about so you can answer. Is personalizing the dashboard for the employee. So Tami, to your example, if you're using work or AI at work and it's personalizing to you, it's not going to personalize to Stacy the same way. And so what they were talking about was, how do we personalize individual dashboards for employees across the enterprise using the same models, but it's different for each individual? And do we need to do that? Should it just be enterprise personalized for the enterprise and that's it, standardized?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had that conversation long before AI, though, right? Like that's been custom dashboards and CSS sheets and all that kind of stuff. If you've been in web development, and so I think on some front, the expectation of personalization is depending on the complexity of the environment that you're working in, right? So I love personalizing my Google drop downs, and I want to go from my phone to my laptop and have all the same.
You got to show me how to do that,
right?
Because I cannot make
life
that work.
changing.
Yeah,
life changing.
I tried.
Right?
I can't. I did that. I tried, and now I get my text messages on the computer, and it does nothing but annoy the hell out of me. I can't figure this out.
And it's really, but that kind of stuff is really critical when you're in something all the time and you're kind of working off of muscle memory, right? If I'm doing something once a year and I go in there and now I got to figure out how to do it and it's different for me versus someone else, and then I got to have an HR person walking you through it, that's annoying, right?
Right.
So I think personalization is very much the same as the AI conversation in the sense of how often are they doing it? What are they getting into? What are they using it for? But you got to go through all the what's the risk of having it personalized versus the non-risk? What's the value of having it personalized versus not? You got to do all those same sort of conversations with every area that you're working on in HR from a tech perspective. But you also have to do that with AI. I think, I think there's questions you can ask yourself first before you get into talking to your vendors. Every organization should have a sort of high level overview of the areas of HR and have if AI was able to improve this or improve the efficiency of this, what's the risk we have in this and what's the opportunity that we have? So let's take recruiting for an example, right? Recruiting seems like an area where if I don't do a lot of recruiting, do I really want to take the risk of using AI in recruiting? Because there's a high risk there, right?
Sure.
And yes, just because my technology can do that, is that a value prop to me?
Right.
When maybe,
Doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, maybe I hire 100 people a year or 200 people a year. Is that really where you want to put AI in? Now, if I'm a person or an organization that hires 500 people a day or 3,000 people a day, then that value proposition of improving that process is much higher. So the risk, even though it's high, is something that I might be willing to take. And I think we have to do that with almost all of our areas of HR. If I'm a manufacturing environment, time management might be a place where I'm going to put AI because they're always clocking in and clocking out. Do I want that to automatically notify me when someone's missed a lunch, right? Like now it doesn't.
Yep.
So I think those are the first questions you've got to ask yourself. And then when you talk to the businesses, I think the next thing you really have to focus on is all the things that Tami said, which is really critical. But then the next conversation is what are they doing to continuously update, educate, and train the people who are using their AI? Because the number one thing that we see, particularly for SMBs and mid-markets, why they're not using AI is a lack of knowledge and skills.
Yep.
And where you get that training in, how you get that training, it very much depends on the tool you're using as to whether it's valuable, which again gets back to your idea of personalization, right?
Yeah.
I could do a lot with a tool inside of an iSolve, right? Or inside of another HR application. It's very different what I'm going to do with ChatGPT.
Sure.
There's not a lot of crossover in those two trainings. You do need to have some understanding of how a generative AI works. But after that, I got to know what this specific tool is trained on, what the biases are, how you might leverage it differently. So I think, the personalization conversation is very much a conversation about the actual tech you're using.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I know we're up against lunch, and I know we all want to eat because the food's pretty decent here. So I'm just saying. So I have one final question I want to ask you guys. I want you to complete the sentence. Let's go with Tami first, and I'll come up with another one for you. Okay. Being a people hero means...
Being a people hero means that I think about the unique human qualities of each person and how to bring that out in all the processes and practices.
I like that.
Yeah,
like
very
that.
Succinct.
Yeah.
Never succinct, just FYI.
Yeah. I was going to get you a different question, but I feel like I could put you on the spot with this one.
Being a people hero means, for me, being a people hero means that I understand how the organization I'm in either generates its revenue or what its primary goal is from a mission perspective, if I'm in a government or nonprofit entity. And I'm able to tie that back to the people decisions that I'm making in my organizations. Those are really important things, I think. And if you can do that in any role you're in HR, then what you're doing is going to have more impact.
That's it. As William would say, drops mic, walks off stage. That's it. Two powerhouses here. Thank you all seriously for being here. It's time to go eat. Let's go eat some lunch.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.